Hey there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fresh. My name is Nia Malika Dixon, and I am a writer, director, producer, originally from Baltimore, now living in Los Angeles, and I'm a Black Muslim woman. And today I'm so excited because we are talking about yet another amazing TV series. Last week we talked about Blind Spotting, which, if I'm being honest, definitely blew my mind. Just raised the bar in creativity in television, as far as I'm concerned. And storytelling is the name of the game. And if you are new to the broadcast, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a Black Muslim woman originally from Baltimore who decided to create film and TV with Black and Muslim people at the center. And I started Fresh, this live broadcast, so that I could talk to other people who love storytelling just as much as I do, especially Black creatives, especially Black Muslim creatives who are interested in learning more about what makes a TV series great and what makes storytelling so great in these series. And last week we talked about Blind Spotting, and this week we're talking about another comedy in our series, Ted Lasso. Now, if you caught the Ted Lasso bug like I did, you have been tuning in and enjoying yourself watching it on Apple TV. And that's another thing I want to mention. I talk about a lot of different series from different platforms. So we've talked about Shadow and Bone from Netflix. We talked about Kenan from NBC. One of my favorites was The Equalizer, starring Queen Latifah on Paramount Plus. And this week it's Ted Lasso on Apple TV. Jump right in and say, when it comes to story, this show gets everything right as far as I'm concerned. And if you've been following along, you know that I'm a firm believer that story comes from character. And this show has such amazing characters, and starting with Ted Lasso, and what I would like to call the earnest character. And if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, I'll just give you a little bit of backstory. He is originally a football coach in America who gets the job to coach football in London. And if you're an American and you know, football in London is called soccer here in America, but they call it football there. And little does he know that there's a little bit more to the job than he expected, and the owner, Rebecca, has another plan for the team. But Ted Lasso, being the earnest character that he is, he jumps right in with his assistant coach, Coach Beard, and they are just phenomenal on screen and as characters. And when it comes to storytelling, story is character, what they want, what they need, and how they go about getting it. And this series gets it right. It's all about this earnest character who definitely wants something. He definitely needs something. And from the interactions that he has with all these other characters, we as the audience get to live vicariously through him. And as he goes on this journey to go after what he thinks he wants is to accomplish this great goal of winning the championship. What he definitely needs is to learn a lot more about himself with regard to interacting with the people around him, and which he does. So the character arcs very well. If you're a creative, you know that when you're watching a series, that's very just went crazy. If you're watching a series, you know it's very important for the character to arc. And the one thing that I love about these characters is that they get to be human. So while you're watching them, and the reason why I love this series is because they get to be human, and they get to be good humans, which is very rare when you're watching television, to be honest. You know, everything's very cynical. Everything's all about hijinks and superficiality and misdirection, and this show is not that. It allows the characters to breathe, it allows them to be who they are, and you get to see all these different characters interact with Ted, which is why I think the show works so well. From Roy's interaction, Roy is the veteran soccer player footballer on the team, who's the team captain, who's a bit of a grouch. And Ted even makes a reference to Oscar the Grouch in one of the episodes. But Roy's interaction with his niece, Roy's interaction with Ted, to Keely, who's one of the girlfriends of one of the footballers, who's a bit of a prima donna, her interactions with her boyfriend Jamie on the team, and with the team owner Rebecca, who's this high-powered female owner who gets the team because she divorces her husband. And so, like I said, all these characters have their own rich stories, and hers is one of the most interesting ones to me because, you know, with a typical sitcom, there's always this bad guy who's, you know, out to get the main character, which we get to see Rebecca do a little bit of in a very creative way. But it also shows us how human she is. You know, she's a hurt person. Her husband was cheating on her. Who, by the way, I had to take a double take because her ex-husband, his name on the show is Rupert. And of course, as a Buffy fan, I recognized him as Giles on Buffy. Like, oh my God, he's playing the bad guy in this. This bad guy who cheated on his wife. And so her revenge is to tank the team. So that's why she hired Ted in the first place. But little does she know that Ted's pretty awesome. And he and his amazing character just spills out over all these characters on the team. And they're all fully fleshed out. They're all in perfect alignment, like planets in their own universe. And all the relationships that are explored are based on them as people, as human beings, their backstory, who they are, and not based on sexual tension like most sitcoms are. They're not props for the main character. They have their own fully fleshed out lives, which is why this show is so great. At the core of this story that we're watching is community and belief in yourself, belief in your community, belief in your teammates. And we get to see that because the first thing Ted does to decorate the locker room is to create this great poster with all caps that says believe. And by the end of this season, even Grouchy Roy starts to believe, which is just so magical. I'm getting all emotional because I think that the reason why so many audiences love the show during the pandemic, because it was something that we're hungry for. We don't, as an audience, always want to see cynical characters, getting away with things. This show allows us to live in these characters' lives, feel what they're feeling. It's very heartfelt. It's very much emphasis on values and values as human beings. So all the characters are respected and they're allowed to breathe and live. And one of my favorite scenes is Sam, one of the footballers on the team. He's pretty young, and we get to see that, I think he's Nigerian based on the context clues. And all of the different characters are from different countries, even though they play for this London team. And Sam is just having a rough time. And Ted, in his amazing, big-hearted self, tries to figure out what's going on so that he can help him play better. And it turns out that he misses home. And he's about to have a birthday, so he surprises Sam with a mini birthday party, but gifts. And he encourages everybody on the team to pitch in so that they could buy him some gifts. And what it is a care package with stuff from his home country, stuff that's culturally relevant, stuff that's very important to him. Again, like I said, heartfelt. And this is stuff as a human being in real life, we would totally do if we cared about the people that we were interacting with. We would definitely want to make them feel good about themselves, which is totally what happens. And the cool thing about that scene is not only does Ted have this heartfelt moment with Sam, but we get to see Ted share something a little bit about his family with Sam, because his son sends him a care package with these little green army men. And the backstory is that the army men are there to protect him. So he sets them up on his desk and he gives Sam one of them. And we see in Ted's eyes, how much that means to him. And, later on he gives one to other people on the team to show them how much he cares about them as well. But in this moment, Sam tells him, I understand that you're giving me this and it means something to you, but can you tell me a little bit more about it? See that? Another moment where the character gets to be human and invite his coach to share a little bit of himself. This is so amazing. Like, this is so important when you're in a community situation. This is a team. They depend on their coach. And he definitely wants to get to know his coach more. And so that's when Coach tells him the backstory about the Army men. Then Sam says, I love that story and I really appreciate it, but I do want to give it back to you because, I'm not American and this little Army man represents something that's not very positive to me. And Ted gets it right away and he goes, oh. And they both say at the same time, imperialism. And it's just like little things like that. This show gets it so right. And that's why the show is so good. Like, over all the episodes, it's an exploration of character. It's an interaction of all these characters with each other in this universe of this team. Even the assistant to the whole quote-unquote battle axe character, Rebecca, the owner of the team, he even gets fully fleshed out. We get to meet his family. We get to see how he interacts with his kids. It's just such a great show. Like, I don't know what else to say about it except if you love good storytelling, you will definitely enjoy Ted Lasso. And it is an exploration of character. It is the way that the characters are full and given room to be as real as possible. It's so refreshing. And it's overall an exploration of character as a barometer of excellence. So, like, for example, sorry about that. So for example, Ted Lasso reiterates over and over again that it's not about winning, it's about how you play the game, which is so, it's a great motto to have, but one of the other characters says, yeah, we get that, but it's very important for these players to win because it's their livelihood. So you get this balance of these characters and what's important to them, and also this meaningful exploration of character, your character being a barometer of your excellence. As reflective in the show, having a good character, having great character development is so key to having a good series. But it's also a reflection, an artistic reflection of real life. Like, what makes us excellent is our character, how we treat people and how we interact with each other. That's so important. And that's why Ted Lasso raises the bar in TV storytelling. So I think you're going to have a good time watching it. Your heartstrings are going to be pulled. You're going to love, because there's plenty of comedy, of course. There's plenty of situations where you're like, oh my God, did they really do that? Like, come on. There's this wonderful karaoke scene that I love where Rebecca gets to be herself. And, so that's another way that I love the way the story allows these characters to breathe and grow, because she's not a stereotype. She's a fully fleshed out woman who has feelings, and we get to see that, especially in the way she interacts with Keely, who's one of the girlfriends of the player, and her ex-husband, the former owner. And like I said, I really digged how, Giles gets to be, his name is Rupert on the show, but I remember him from Buffy, so, which was kind of cool. But it's a comedy, and it's a very much a heartwarming comedy. Lots of adventure, lots of fun. Funny series. You're going to love it. Ted Lasso. So, yeah. I love it. You'll love it. Tell me what you think in the comments. Hit me up in the DMs. And let me know if you enjoyed it as much as I did. So next week we're going to talk about another show. And before I go, I do want to reiterate for all those creatives out there, if you're creating a series, make sure you do emphasize character development, because that's one of the reasons why Ted Lasso is so good. It's funny. It's got great jokes. But the biggest key to this good series is the way these characters are developed, and they're fleshed out fully, and they're allowed to live in their world. So not only do we get to see them interact with others, but they're interacting in their world in a natural way that allows us as the audience to really hook into who they are and identify with who they are. And that's why audiences keep coming back, because we're invested. So shout out to the creators of the series. You guys did a phenomenal job. Jason Sudeikis, I'm just like so blown away by your talent. Okay, so yeah, I'm giving you props. And I recently read an article in Entertainment Weekly about the show, so like pick that up and read about it, because the backstory about the creation of series is so informative, and it also elevates the storytelling experience. So anyway, I'm going to close out because I never want to talk too long on these things. But I could talk all day about Ted Lasso. It's so good. I'm going to tell y'all, I watched the whole series over the weekend, and it was just so much fun. And it's one of those shows you can watch over and over again. So next week we're going to talk about another show. And I really enjoyed talking about Ted Lasso. And like I said, hit me up in the DMs if you have some more comments. And if there's a show you want us to talk about, please let us know. I have a roster of shows that we're talking about, but I definitely want to tap into you guys. That's why I do the show live. And it's always awesome to see y'all. Hey, Malika. It's always awesome to see you here. And yeah, definitely looking forward to your comments. All right, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Have an awesome week. Bye.